Okay, and we are live on the Rural Alberta Business Center Facebook page. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Andrushak. I am your small business coach at RABC for Central Alberta and your, WOW team leader for women in business and leadership. And I am so excited to be here today with, I would like to say, my new BFF, Jo Phillips from Jo Social Media. Now, Jo Social Media, if you haven't heard of them, you need to Google them, you need to Facebook them, you need to connect with them, because not only are Jo and Jo, her partner Jo, together winners of the 2016 Red Deer Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year Award, but they are also in the lineup for the 2018 Alberta Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year Award. Jo, congratulations on those two.
Thanks. It's kind of a big deal.
It is kind of a big deal. Who gets these opportunities? People that work really, really hard. And I know you and Jo do. So Jo, tell me about Jo Social Media, and tell me about Jo Phillips. Who are you, and what made you get into entrepreneurship in the first place?
Okay, so I'll start with Jo Social Media. Jo Social Media is a social media agency. It's owned by me and Joe Whitbread, and we have a team of 8 who are working for us right now, and they do a lot of the dirty work of social media for us.
Implementation.
Yeah, because I don't want to be on Twitter all day, like for other people. I like it for myself. So what we do is we do corporate social media for businesses who value social media from a public relations, customer service, sales point of view, and branding point of view. So they already value social media, and we come in and support them. So it's a very collaborative effort. And as a side thing, we support small businesses. And so while small businesses aren't our target market, what that means for us is that we get to do a lot of advising and consulting, like on a much more affordable basis for them, because we were once them. So that's Jo Social Media. We're based in Lacombe, and we've had some exciting things happen there. Jo Phillips. Who is Jo Phillips?
Who is Jo Phillips?
I'm Jo Out Loud across platforms: Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, all of that stuff. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 25 years old. My disappointment in the education system is that nobody ever told me it was a possibility when I was 17. And so I went to university. I took a psychology degree with a sociology minor. I majored in motivation and personality, and found it to be completely useless. But what it did teach me was critical thinking skills. Sure. And so I started my first business when I was 25. Working for other people just never made sense to me at all. The idea of aspiring to middle management and having other people make the money while they dictated how much I made and what my time was valued at and all of that stuff just wasn't valuable to me. And I also recognized very early, I recognized at 25 that entrepreneurship was just as safe as a day job, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're actually in charge, and the harder you work, the more likely you are to be successful. So you're completely in charge of your success. While if you're working for a business or you're the employee, you're not in charge of your success nearly as much, and you can be cut out as quickly as you can be brought in. So that's when I went into entrepreneurship. Jo Social Media is actually my 6th business. Wow. I had one epic failure that resulted in bankruptcy, and a lot of other stuff, which I would like to talk about a little bit later.
Absolutely.
And then for me, from a personal point of view, I am absolutely passionate about moving women forward in business. I'm passionate about inspiring teens, girls specifically, in their self-confidence and in their knowledge that they can go out there and do some really remarkable things, and they don't have to wait for permission to do that. And that's a lot about what Jo Out Loud is about, is just that inspirational empowerment part for women.
Fantastic. So Jo, 6 businesses.
Yeah.
And you started in business so early.
Yeah.
So what were your 6 businesses?
So my first business was a partnership with my sister, and it was unfortunately called Just Us Gals, which The acronym for that was JUGS, which we realized too late. And it was the concept of it was organizing social activities for women who were feeling disconnected in their communities. Because I was in Innisfil and I had just moved there and just was having trouble developing social connections. When we started that business, it was before social media. Believe it or not, there was a time before it.
I know.
So yeah, it's crazy. So we did newspaper advertising and did a lot of that. We didn't go into it with a business plan, and we didn't go into it with a profit model. We had no idea how we were going to make money doing this. And so we spent a lot of time organizing the activities and going on the activities, and we had fun, but we never made a cent. We didn't know how to make money with it. So my sister got pregnant, and so we shut that down. Our second business, again, was with my sister, and again, pre-social media. It was called Creative Crates Canada, and the concept was that we would pre-package children's bedrooms, and so that you could just order the decor for your kid's bedroom. If they were a Montreal Canadiens fan or if they were a Cinderella fan, then you could just order the box and you could unpack the box in their bedroom, and the next day they have a brand new bedroom. So
fabulous idea.
And in the social media world, it would have sold. But we went into that, and we learned from our first business. We had a profit model on this one. We had no marketing plan. Our marketing idea was we'll put it on eBay and Kijiji and hope that somebody catches on to it. And we had a great website, but we had no drivers to our website other than Kijiji and eBay, and we didn't really have a lot of experience on how to get it out there. So it was a great idea. We each lost about $3,500 on that, which wasn't a big loss, but we did lose money on it. And
experience.
Exactly. And at this point, my sister had 2 kids. I had 3 kids. And because it wasn't profitable, but it was a lot of work, we decided, okay, we're going to shut this down. So smart. We realized early, before we lost a lot of money in it, to shut it down. After that, I became a personal trainer, which is, if I would go back to that in a heartbeat. So I started a personal training business, and I was very successful with that. And then from the personal training business, I started a company called Jo Fitness Training, which was it was a small gym, and it was based on body weight exercises and being allowed to bring your kids in with you so that they saw you modeling fitness. So it was a really cool concept. I went in with a business plan. I learned from my other ones, went in with a business plan, went in with a marketing plan. I didn't do early financials. Okay. And so I wasn't aware. I had this lofty dream of being able to achieve 1% of the Red Deer market, which is so ridiculous. It's just not a rational perspective, especially in the gym industry. So I had about $30,000 in startup funds, and we were funded. The gym was funded by my ex-husband. Basically, we used our own credit and we used our own savings to fund the gym. In the first probably 3 months, I blew through the whole $30,000 because I threw money at radio. And that was not a good idea in my first 3 months. I needed to get some income rolling in before I invested in expensive advertising.
Yes.
The beauty of burning through my marketing budget so early is that what it caused me to do was to have to move into free advertising, and this was in 2009. So Twitter, Facebook, I jumped in.
And it was all at that time.
Exactly. And I was an early adapter at that time. And so in building these, using these platforms, my gym membership came together and they really helped me. We had a fantastic social media presence, and that was how we advertised. And with that, with Jo Fitness Training, I was nominated for Small Business of the Year in Red Deer. I didn't make finalist. And we also did a major fundraising thing for Slave Lake, when Slave Lake was on fire. And for that, our name was read in the Canadian House of Commons, and I received bronze for corporate citizen in Red Deer, in the Red Deer Express. So yeah, some amazing things, but I made some huge mistakes. So
Tell me about those.
yeah. So Joe Dumont Fitness Training was moving forward. We weren't making a profit, but we were surviving. I was still using my ex-husband's income to support any needs that we had that went beyond. So I didn't really, because he made a lot of money, he was in the oil field, I didn't really need to focus too much on that bottom line.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a passion,
Yeah.
hobby versus real business. But hey, you started with a business plan this time.
Exactly. So what happened was that we knew we needed a bigger space. I knew we needed a bigger space. I say we because I had a group of people who we called the Minds, and it was this committee that helped guide the direction of the gym, and they were awesome. We decided to move to a bigger space. I needed a damage deposit very quickly on the big space. And in the meantime was applying for funding. So because the funding was going to take a while to get, a friend offered to do a really short-term loan. It was supposed to be a month-long loan. So she gave me the money for the damage deposit. About 3 days after we made the damage deposit, I left my husband. It was a really bad relationship. I had to leave. I did leave. And so immediately I lost all connection to our assets because those were tied up in divorce. So I had no assets to tie to a loan. I had no credit of my own because everything we had done was tied to my ex-husband. So I was all of a sudden in this very destitute situation. I had no income from the gym. I had no income to support the gym anymore. And so unfortunately, that temporary loan had to turn into a long-term loan, which really wasn't fair to the person who loaned it to me. That wasn't our agreement.
Right.
And so immediately right after that, it just got really bad. We were eating popcorn for supper and trying to keep the gym afloat. And I started to really hate the gym, which was unfortunate, and digging a deeper and deeper hole. And what I was doing was I wasn't communicating with the people who could help me. Instead, I was putting on this face of everything's okay and nothing was okay. And so I was digging this deep hole, and the people who could have been my allies instead turned into my enemies. And I feel like in a big sense, that was my fault for not talking to them and letting them know where things were and exactly how things were.
Jo, that's what a lot of women in business do. Put on that brave face, and even though there are resources in their own backyard knocking on the door saying, please let me help you, please let me help you. Yeah. That brave face stops them from engaging those resources.
Exactly. And even when you accept the resources, the communication part is so important, because if somebody lends you money and they don't feel valued for it, then that's not fair to them. And while in order to keep the gym afloat, I felt like I had no choice in pursuing friends and family for investment dollars. It wasn't fair to them how I dealt with that at all. And so toward the end of that year, I needed out of Jo Dumont Fitness Training. I knew that I was depressed. I was struggling. I needed to make an income. We couldn't pay. I actually rotated through services. I had electricity for a month, and then it would be cut off, and then I would have water. So we rotated through services, and nobody around me knew that we were living, because I was living in a $450,000 house. So it looked like we were okay, but we were so not okay.
And you were balancing all of these issues with your business, plus being a mom of 3 kids.
Exactly. And my ex-husband was gone. Like there was no support. So, and it was a very, very challenging situation. So my next step was to close Jo Dumont Fitness Training, and I started the next day with 4 partners, and we started JDFT Inc. So I went to them. I said, I don't want to close the gym, but I can't do this anymore. I need some investors. I need some people to put some money in, and and we'll continue the gym, but I'll be a 20% owner. And so I had 4 people who were passionate about the gym come in, and they each invested about $3,000. And that partnership lasted about 5 months. There was a lot of infighting. There were a lot of people who were passionate about the gym. I was in a position where I was so destroyed that I wasn't invested and I wasn't communicating with them, and I would just back off if there was conflict. We were doing a lot of infighting on Twitter, just ridiculousness. It was ridiculous. And in fairness, again, to them, my communication skills were not where they needed to be. They weren't aware of my situation. They weren't aware of what they were coming into. And I brought them in just based on whether they could provide money to support the gym, rather than based on the business experience and what different levels we could each bring to building the business. So in April, I had to declare bankruptcy, no choice. And and in total with that gym, I ended up losing, my ex-husband and I, our investment was $120,000. And
that's an expensive lesson for sure.
It was an expensive lesson. And so wisely, my partners saw and knew we need to shut this down. We had a meeting. It was devastating to me. I didn't know how to handle it, and I was just broken. And so we closed the gym, and I needed to find a new business. I couldn't be a personal trainer anymore. There were some people who were invested in making sure I couldn't be successful. So there was a lot of stuff going on in the background that prevented me from getting some personal training contracts. And so that summer I went to Jo Whitbread and I said, I think social media is going to be a thing. Let's start a business.
And that's where Jo and Jo became.
And that's where Jo and Jo came from. Yeah.
So in all of those challenges that you had, what do you think? Because this certainly is your story. And ladies that are online with us, please share in the comments and the likes so we can engage with you too. If you have any questions of Jo, this is the time to ask. But what do you think some of your personal and professional strengths were? Because you're a phoenix rising out of the ashes.
Yeah.
So where did your resilience come from?
My resilience came from a phone call, actually. I was being attacked fairly regularly on social media, lots of passive aggressiveness, and in fairness, that first summer I was doing it as well. But then I quickly realized how it was making me feel and understood that I didn't want to make others feel that way, so I stopped. And so what came from rising from the ashes, I refer back to Brendan Burchard, who says that the greatest indicator of success is the level of pain you're experiencing. And I had nothing. I literally had nothing. I had my marriage was ended. I had moved to Highland Green, where there were sirens. There were prostitutes being picked up in our back alley every night. When I didn't sleep for a year. I was at the very bottom. I was considering suicide. I just was so devastated that the level of pain I was experiencing meant that I had to be successful. And I actually had a phone call with somebody who said to me, she said, "I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you're not successful."
No.
But those words were awesome, because those words were the ones that sparked my fight. I had no fight until she said that to me, and it sparked my fight. And again, the reason we moved so quickly into Jo social media was because I had a requirement of success. We were not eating unless I was successful. We weren't moving out of Highland Green unless I was successful. So I had a high level of pain.
Well, I'm just so amazed that, I met you maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just so amazed of the triumph that you've had in your life. through 6 businesses. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of men and women in business right now, given the economy that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing the same thing that you've been through. And
Yes.
knowing that it is possible to triumph over tragedy, it is possible to be a trailblazer in a
Mm-hmm.
new industry.
Yes.
I just think that's amazing. So
Thanks.
in all of this, what do you think is your greatest success?
Um, I believe that when we started Joe Social Media, we had 3 mandates. We wanted to be flexible with our time because our kids were growing up so fast. We wanted to love what we did, and we wanted to not be motivated by money. We just wanted to make enough to be comfortable and not make growth decisions that meant we worked more and made more. We just wanted to be satisfied with our comfort level. So what I consider my greatest success or our greatest success is that we stick with that model. I'm sitting here on a Friday in my home because I've decided that I'm taking Fridays to work at home. That's the flexibility key. My kids are out of school today. It's a snow day, so I'm here with them. And so we stay focused on all of that, on those 3 things. My second factor would be along those lines. Social media is a very rapidly growing industry. Obviously, we experienced tremendous growth while everyone else was crashing in 2012, 2013, 2014. And so we kind of shifted away from that. We're going to make enough to be comfortable and moved it toward we have an opportunity to provide people with income while they move through this challenging time, and decided instead to pursue a growth plan that allowed others to share our success. And so while most corporations mean the owners make more and more money, what we did instead was we maintained our income level and brought in others to make more money as well. Very proud of that. We have a team of 8, and a lot of them are single moms who just needed another income, some single dads. So I'm really proud of that part as well.
Absolutely. Empowering others and especially giving them a leg up. While
Mm-hmm.
you're absolutely right. In the corporate world, as businesses grow and get bigger and bigger, it generally is the owner's mandate to say, okay, hey, I'm growing. I'm giving myself a raise, or I'm buying
Yeah.
myself a bigger house, or a
Which
new
is fair because it's a lot of work.
it is a ton of work. Anyone
Yeah.
that they're getting into business to work less,
Yes.
it's crazy. I think generally the average hours in a week that an entrepreneur puts in, both thinking and doing in business, it has to be 120 hours a week.
Yeah. And the level of risk you take on is so high. In order to grow, you have to, like, we could have just stayed stagnant and just been some social media providers who worked from our basement and made, $3,000 a month. We could have done that, but what we did was we took the risk. Every time we saw an opportunity, we went for it. Even though it was scary and might have cost us, we still went for it. And as a result, we make a lot more than $3,000 in our business, but we share it across our writers. So
that's awesome. I know when I'm taking that risk as an entrepreneur, I know when I'm coaching my clients, sometimes, especially with the new social media tools like Facebook Live, you get some pushback from clients saying, oh, that's out of my comfort zone. So the very first thing I try to encourage my clients when I'm coaching them is, as an entrepreneur, you have given up all rights to have a comfort zone.
Exactly.
Because that is certainly a self-limiting factor. And if you want a comfort zone, go be an employee.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little tough love on my part, but once they get the concept that, okay, I don't have a comfort zone, therefore I can try anything just once, then it's the same with you guys taking the risk of bringing people in, and now you're responsible for not only your own income, but for everybody else's.
Which is scary. But all that does is I believe in my ability to figure things out, and I believe in my ability to solve the problem if we run into one. So we've got a lot of systems in place. We worked very hard on systems to make sure that our business is protected. If we drop a contract, then the subcontractor also drops. So we've protected our cash flow that way.
Mm-hmm.
So we've made a lot of really good decisions. In social media, another thing that we have to really focus on is what's coming next, which is really hard. But going back to that comfort zone, we experience that all the time with the people we're talking to about social media. And what I always tell them is your friends and family are not good measures. So do not worry about them. If my friends say that this is happening with my Facebook page, your friends aren't the people we're selling to. And if you build a business based on your friends and family, then you're not going to be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Jo, we talked about how quickly the digital world changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like you. I remember a time where, first of all, there was no internet.
Yeah, I know.
Computers only operated in DOS.
Yeah.
And there was no such thing as social media. The only thing we had to promote and market our businesses were, the newspaper and radio. Mm-hmm. And if you could afford it, you could get some TV.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And so the industry changes, and the changes that are coming down the pipe, especially from Facebook. Mm-hmm. How has that affected your business? Of course, it created the business to begin with. But how do you adjust? How do you flex and weave every time digital media changes?
This is where my degree actually came in handy. Because the sociology part, where I watch very carefully what people are doing. And so we have two components to it. One component is constant learning about the platforms. It's impossible to be a social media expert because there's so much depth to each platform and so many social media platforms out there that you just can't call yourself that. I do call myself a Facebook expert. I am absolutely a Twitter expert. I'm absolutely an Instagram expert. So those platforms I learn about every day, every change that happens, how it might affect our clients, but also how people are going to adjust to that effect and what they're going to do with it. So from our point of view, we're always watching to see what's next, but we don't adapt it quickly because the businesses we're working for are dinosaurs. They're the ones who just decided last year that Facebook might be a thing. So, which makes us all laugh, because we're all here on Facebook.
It's true, but you know what? Right. I'm married to somebody who doesn't have a Facebook page.
Exactly. But they've heard social media is a thing, and so we're here to help them. It constantly changes. How we deal with it is we stay focused on what our clients need and what Central Albertans are doing. So we don't go to those conferences in Texas or in Toronto or in Vancouver or even Calgary because that's not what Central Albertans are doing. Mm-hmm. Instead, we watch what they're doing here and apply that.
Fantastic. So in the world of digital media, where once upon a time Facebook was free, Twitter was free, and there was no such thing as a sponsored post or ads manager or power editor or all of those things. And now, for goodness sake, messenger bots.
I know.
It's something that I'm trying to wrap my head around right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, don't worry about messenger bots yet.
Okay, good.
They haven't refined them enough. They're having a lot of problems with it, and I think it's something like an 85% fail rate on their responses. So. So don't worry about messenger bots yet.
Okay, nice. You've taken something off my to-do list for today.
There you go.
So the big question or the big perception with entrepreneurs is that social media is free.
Mm-hmm.
The big question is that true?
No, it's not. It used to be. It used to be true. You can effectively use Twitter and Instagram for free. But when I think of free, I don't just think of the dollars, I also think of the time. And so our writers spend an average, and these are people who do this all the time, they spend an average of 7 hours per platform per week. So that means that if you're going to use Twitter effectively for your business for free, then you need to invest that time. That's an entire day of your work week that is spent making sure that your Twitter is working. But of
Just
course,
on one
that's spread
platform.
out across, right? That's only one platform. Exactly. When you go into working on Facebook effectively, if you want to just have great organic reach, again, that time investment is so significant. And then when people are adding in more and more platforms, I'll go to a website and I'll see they've got 5 platforms, and I'm like, no, you don't. There's no way you can, because when you're using a platform, you have to be authentically there. You can't think of it as a sales tool. You can't think of pushing out sales to it. You have to think of it, again, as a customer service opportunity, public relations, brand. It's like having a phone sit in an office that's down the hall that nobody ever answers. But at least we have the phone, right? Yeah, so what a lot of people are doing to mitigate it is that they'll be using Instagram. This is the one we see the most. They're posting to Instagram and sharing it to Twitter and Facebook. But you're neglecting your audience when you do that. You're taking a shortcut. So instead, what you need to do is completely dedicate yourself to a single platform. Just go to it and use that platform. And then once that's running well and you have more time or can hire somebody to help you, bring in another platform. But there's no way to do it for free without adding significant time.
Awesome. And I absolutely agree with you. I generally say to my clients, you're going to pay either way. You'll either pay with money or you'll pay with time.
Exactly.
And look at, is it better for you to pay with money because you have a higher income producing activity on one hand, so you can generate more income here to afford to hire somebody like Joe Social Media to take it out, and if it's not your area of genius, then it's not necessarily an income producing activity.
Exactly. And if it's not your area of genius, then that 7 hours becomes 15 hours, because you have to spend time learning how everything works all the time, because it keeps changing. So you'll go in, you'll decide, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to boost a post, and you'll go in to do it, and something will go wrong. Like the other day, photos weren't attaching to ads in the ads manager, just weren't doing it. And so you just need to have some savvy as well in order to keep that time down to 7 hours.
Because I'm sure the investment of frustration time, when something worked one time and now it doesn't work at all.
Exactly.
That pull your hair out time.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough. So we have some amazing people watching a live broadcast today. So Angela, Leanna, thank you for your comments already. They are resonating with you, Joe. They're loving your inspiring story. And so if you have any questions or comments of Joe about anything in relation to success and failure in business, managing 3 kids and a partner, or social media, then this is the time to pick her brain, because I know she's such an amazing woman, and thank you so much for sharing today. So here's another big question. If you are a small to medium business in central Alberta, what is your best marketing tip for us?
Invest in Facebook. Absolutely invest in Facebook. Not only invest in Facebook from like using it, but invest in learning about it so that you can use it effectively, and establish a Facebook ads budget. And it doesn't have to be high. We spend, like with our clients, most clients have a budget of $100 to $200 and it per month. So it doesn't have to be a significant budget. While I do know, I'm speaking to small business owners, sometimes $100 is like, there's no way I'm going to find that. Your return on it will be significant. The return on effective social media advertising is incredibly valuable. And normally what we say to business owners who come in and take our training is, before you apply this, make sure you have a growth plan. Because if you start doing this well and you grow and you can't address the need on social media, then your social media is going to go way wrong as well. That's where people start complaining. Well, I tried to order from you, but you couldn't fulfill your orders. So, so there's a few aspects. The second thing I would say is just focus on one platform. Don't try to do a whole bunch right now.
Awesome. One thing at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have a question from Leanna Hamilton. She says, every business owner has a turning point in their business. What was the pivotal decision slash fear you faced slash conquered in your personal growth that you feel had the biggest impact?
Oh, that's a good question,
Question.
Leanna. Yeah, I love watching your business, by the way, Leanna. The pivotal moment when we decided to go into social media, it was not a popular decision. There were no agencies, there were no businesses who were doing social media for other people. And the idea in Central Alberta was that you should be doing your social media, even as a business owner, because as Joe always says, Tim Horton is doing Tim Horton's social media, right? Which isn't true. Which isn't true. So the scariest moment was in going out there and saying, we're going to do this. And then the result of that was just tons of attacks and misinformation. There's still misinformation out there as far as what we do. We're do better now about educating about what we do. So that was the scariest part, was going into an industry that didn't exist, much like you, Leanna, and having to create what it looked like. Our pivotal decision was when we first started our business, it was a marketing business that also did social media. Our pivotal decision was in wiping out all of the marketing and focusing exclusively on social media. And we decided we're just not going to do anything else. We're going to become professional experts at this instead. And that's when we launched. We just took off after that.
Awesome. So no to marketing strategies, no to website development, just purely social media. And I think you have enough platforms to keep you busy.
Yes.
Between, the top four of, Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and Twitter. So in Central Alberta, you're saying Facebook is king. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
Okay.
That's not true. In Central Alberta, there's actually 3 platforms that are doing really well here. Facebook, we say go to Facebook because Facebook has the most opportunity as a business. It's the only one that allows you to do ads that will rival Google ads and really reach out into the internet. So when you're advertising on Facebook, then you're actually not just on Facebook. You can reach into smartphones and do all of that stuff through the ads manager. So when we say use Facebook first, it's because of the tremendous opportunity for a business past the social part of the platform. Instagram is really growing in Central Alberta very, very quickly. It tops out, it's kids' first platform right now. They're signing up at about 8 or 9 years old, which should make us all cringe. And then it's topping out at about 45 years old right now, and primarily leaning toward women. But it's a very, very popular platform. So, but again, that requires a time investment to use Instagram. And then Twitter in Central Alberta is terrifying. A lot of people are scared of Twitter. But Twitter, the people in Central Alberta on Twitter are between 30 and 50 years old. They tend to be better educated. They tend to make their buying decisions and their customer service decisions on Twitter before anything else. So they'll choose to buy a car from a dealership that's on Twitter before they'll go off of Twitter to find a dealership. Because an effective Twitter strategy is really a lot about loyalty and trust building. It takes at least 6 months. It's a marathon to get a Twitter account successful. But once you've done it, because it's so much hard work, once you've been there, you will start to see the return. So Twitter is a really, really valuable platform if you're willing to put in the work and the commitment and understand that there's not going to be return in the first couple months. That said, there are no, like, God, a divorce lawyer needs to get on Twitter after 8 p.m. It's like the number one.
Lawyers watching Twitter.
Yeah, if there's any divorce lawyers watching, there aren't any hair salons doing Twitter well. There are very few restaurants doing Twitter well. There are very few. Like, God, what are some other industries? Salons, spas, all of that stuff. Though your audience is there, but very few people are doing it well because it's hard. So to me, that's a really big opportunity. If you can go where no one else is advertising and advertise, why wouldn't you?
You could really build a monopoly under those. So we have hi, Dean. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Dean's got a great question. So your company changed scope after how long in business? Dean says he's considering the same change and pushing an alternative connection. With that change, I was going to really work on SEO for his website. However, do I understand that we should be utilizing Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter alongside our SEO?
Okay, that's a good question. That's an excellent question. We changed our scope after we started in our business in 2012, and in 2014, late 2014, we went directly to social media, and then we incorporated as Jo Social Media Inc. We were originally called Jo Ideas for Business. We incorporated as Jo Social Media Inc. in 2015. And so that's when we made that change. You're correct in hearing that you should be focusing on social to support your SEO. Google specifically ranks social behavior, social interaction, and whether people are seeking you out on social higher than they do through clicks on your ads or any search engine optimization that happens to a website, or those shared links and all of that stuff that happens through SEO. Also, using Facebook ads will increase your SEO because it'll increase your SEO for the same or fewer dollars than any other element, because you're actually doing multiple things by using Facebook ads. You're driving traffic to your website, you're running ads, but you're also driving traffic to your Facebook page where customers can access customer service and see what you're up to and see your sales. So it's actually a multifaceted approach by using Facebook. Hopefully that answers your question.
So thanks for making that question and making the broadcast today, Dean. Another question is LinkedIn. What is it? Should we be using it? Because I know you teach about LinkedIn. So how can we work with that?
Okay. I saw LinkedIn referred to the other day as the sleeping giant. And we've been talking about LinkedIn for years, saying don't neglect LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a tremendous opportunity. Don't neglect it. And what we often hear is people saying to us, well, I get all these connection requests, but I don't think LinkedIn is a thing. And I'm like, well, if you're getting connection requests, that's your phone ringing on LinkedIn. Don't answer it. So LinkedIn is really, really valuable. And the reason it's valuable is because it's entirely business. There is no fluff that goes on the other social media platforms. So when people go there, they're going there expecting to do business. They're going there expecting to hear about your business and your successes and your triumphs. So yes, you should be using LinkedIn, absolutely. And don't think of it in terms of directly who I'm going to sell to. Think of it in terms of who can I get my message to that might be in a room with somebody I might want to sell to. That's what networking is. So I had somebody say to me the other day, I do destination weddings, but you're not my target. And I said, I am your target because I talk to hundreds of people in a week. I am your target. So let me know what you do. And that's what LinkedIn is for. So I recommend a LinkedIn strategy of thinking to yourself, there are always people 2 steps behind me, and there are always 2 people 2 steps ahead of me. And so if I share the knowledge I learned from the people 2 steps ahead, and if I provide knowledge to the people 2 steps behind, then I'm going to have a really excellent LinkedIn strategy that shows my expertise and establishes me as somebody who knows what I'm doing in my business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the difference between a LinkedIn personal profile and a LinkedIn business page.
Okay, so LinkedIn business pages are really slow to grab hold, but what we want you guys to think of them as is a lot like a Facebook page was 10 years ago. They were free to build. And right now, a LinkedIn business page is free to build, but it's not going to stay that way. So if you go in and at the very least start creating that page and publishing content to it, then you're going to be way further ahead once they do start charging us to have that exposed. So how a company page works versus a personal page. A personal page is meant to expose you as a professional in your business, in your career. It's your personal experience, your personal resume, and sharing that part of you. So if you have a personal page set up with your business name across, you're not doing it right. And I don't mean that in a slapping your hand, you're not doing it right. I mean, go set up a company page instead, and then set up a personal page that's all about you. The company pages have followers, whereas your personal page has connections. And what you publish on your company page should be published from the company's perspective, whereas where you publish from your personal page should be from your perspective.
Fantastic. So, Jo, back to your work-life balance. You know, you've got a great partner, which is Jo,
Yeah.
and a blended family to
Yes.
look after, and you're running this business. And then not only that are you running this business, but you're also volunteering in the community by, I know both you and Jo love going out to local schools to share the message about the benefits and the pitfalls of social media to kids, which is so important. I know in this world of Snapchat and nightmares like that kids can get wrapped up into trouble really quickly.
That's hands down our favorite thing to do. We volunteer in schools to share a message and to start conversations with kids. We're actually coming at it from the kids' point of view, though, because we are in social media and we understand it a lot more than most parents do. And parents are scared of it. And so, like you just said, the Snapchat and the nightmare that comes with it. The reason kids started using Snapchat is because there's no public interaction with their posts. So if they snap something and somebody responds, that's a private response versus all of the other social media platforms where the response is public. So they've done it to mitigate the cyberbullying stuff, which to me is a great use for a platform. Kids are also using Snapchat in that it really effectively where they get a bad rap. Yes, things disappear, but that's a parenting issue. That's not a platform issue. If you're not talking to your kids on a regular basis about not sharing or specifically asking for, parents, your boys are asking the girls. 95% of girls in grade 12 have been asked for a naked photo, and it's not from a predator, it's from the boy sitting beside her. So you guys need to be talking to your boys about that. That's my passion, is to make that stop. But what they're doing with Snapchat is it's face-to-face connection. And so what kids are actually doing is they're creating a much more diverse social group than we ever did. And it's all based on different subsets of their interests. And they have face-to-face interaction, which means they're much better at reading emotional reaction than we are through text. So they're actually deepening their relationships. There are a lot of mental health issues based on being able to see what your friends are doing when they said that they weren't doing anything and all of that stuff. That happens to us as adults too. So the reality of the social media world for kids is that it's very similar to ours. The only difference is, unfortunately, they're experiencing it at 13 and we didn't. So we have life experience and emotional maturity to deal with the stuff that's coming at us. But we all know how it feels to have somebody attack you and that sinking feeling in your stomach and feeling like the whole world is against you because of it. Imagine being 13 and having that feeling.
Oh, crazy.
So it's heartbreaking. And that is not a social media problem. That's a parenting thing. We have to be talking to our kids on a regular basis and asking them to tell us their stories about what it's like to be 13 on Instagram. And asking them to show us how the platforms work, rather than saying, I'm going to go take a class to find out how Snapchat works. Ask your kid how Snapchat works and start a conversation. Yeah.
And your presentations around Central Alberta, I hear, are just fabulous.
Yeah, they're fun.
And the kids are engaged and they're really enjoying what you're presenting and they're connecting with you, not as they connect with parents, not as they connect with teachers, but in connecting with this, cool social media firm and that's doing what they're doing. So we have another question from Michelle. Millsboro. Do you offer LinkedIn services for building effective business and personal pages?
We will not build a personal page because it's you. We will help with a company page. What most small business, it depends on where you are in your business, Michelle, honestly. We're kind of we're higher priced, I guess. We're an investment for sure in order to have us do it for you. But what we do offer is training on it. We actually have a training course coming up at the end of this month in LinkedIn. You can find that information on our Instagram profile in the link, or on our Facebook page, or on Twitter, and on our website.
Or shoot the link to me. I'll put it underneath this broadcast.
There you go. So we offer training in it as a way to allow you guys to figure out how to do it yourselves. And but we are expensive as far as having us do it for you.
Awesome. I'm not really liking the word expensive, because I see immeasurable value in what you offer.
Absolutely. We're very valuable. If you can afford to invest in us, we're an investment. If you can afford to invest in us, you should. But it is a significant investment. And that's why we offer the training, is so that there's multiple levels. But we are always upfront about that. Our target market is medium-sized businesses. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your best work-life balance tip? Is work-life balance a myth for entrepreneurs, for men and for women, or is it something that you can actually have?
Yeah, I don't think it's a myth. I think that you just need to be forceful in your commitment to balance. There's a lot of things. I referred to Brendan Bouchard earlier. I really subscribe to a lot of the things he talks about, and that is, I don't allow others' urgencies to become my urgencies. So my day is it's not rigid, but I do plan things. I plan when I'm checking into my notifications. I plan when I'm going to check my email. And I've trained everyone around me to accept that. I'm just not going to argue about it. If I'm going to check my email at 1:00 in the afternoon, and that's when you're going to get a response from me. And if you need to get a hold of me quicker, most people know that if you text me, then I have an app on my computer called Mighty Text, which I highly recommend. And it puts the text on my computer, and then I can respond to that quickly. But I don't let others' urgencies become mine. I also sit down in the morning and I look at my schedule and I look at my to-do list, and I start with the needle movers, the stuff that's going to actually move us forward, not the stuff that's busy work. And if the busy work doesn't get done, it doesn't matter. I've never had a problem with a busy task being bumped to the next day. Often they actually get bumped off the list because they're just busy tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third thing I do is in my planner, I plan my energy. I don't plan my day so much with color coding, but I plan the energy of my day. And so, because I'm an introvert, if there's a high energy, if there's a meeting or a training, or if we're public speaking, then I use blue, and I plan blue around those. And blue to me is energy recovery. And I just make sure I have those spaces in my day as well. And my day always ends at 5. And or earlier, it depends. I don't end my day based on the time. I end it based on my tasks. Mm-hmm. And so those are some things that I do. And I have a fantastic work-life balance. We book an entire week off at the end of every month where there's no meetings. We make sure that we travel. We make sure that we take vacation time. And in the summer, we don't go to the office. And those are all luxuries, having like 6 years into the business. But I also want to point out that that's business ownership. That's not being in the business. That's because we're the business owners, and we've done a lot of things to make sure that we have a great functioning team that keeps our business moving forward while we pursue some flexibility and passion projects.
Absolutely. I know when coaching my clients, I try to coach them into the CEO role of their business. Mm-hmm. Like you're in right now, and you're having all those fantastic fortunes because of it, versus what I call the COE, chief of everything.
Yes, yeah.
So, and that leads to nothing but stress and burnout in the end. If you keep on thinking that I have to do everything, eventually the have to do everything will wear you down quick.
And it'll destroy your business. Mm-hmm. You have to be willing to give up control. You have to be willing to experience pain to bring in another person. So that might mean that you take a pay cut while that other person comes in. But bringing that other person in will increase your income in the long run. And so you have to be willing to experience the pain and give up control and do that. But it is in the best interest of your business, as scary as it is. And it changes everything when you, and also along that note, you also have to be prepared to fire as quickly. You don't drag somebody along who's not pushing your business forward either.
Absolutely. Have to, as the wonderful book called Good to Great. The author is not coming to me right now, but the title is Good to Great. He is always talking about getting the right people on, not just the right people on the bus of your business, but the right people on the right seat of your bus.
Exactly.
And as Darren Hardy says, if you have people in your business that aren't optimal employees, you're actually paying them to destroy your business.
Exactly. Exactly. We lost 2 major contracts last year because we had the wrong person in the seat. So yeah, a great lesson. Very frustrating, but we move forward from it. So
absolutely. Well, we've got still got a great audience on our broadcast today. So we have 5 minutes left to pick Jo's brain. If you have any questions at all, now is the time to pick Jo's valuable brain, because she already said it's an investment to work with these guys. So the opportunity to have your business questions answered is here in the next 5 minutes. Yeah. So while we wait for the audience questions, Jo, what is your one big piece of advice that you would offer both men and women in business?
Planning and systems.
Okay.
Planning and systems. Yeah. Without a good plan and being willing to adapt it and always going back to it and refocusing, you're not going to be able to get over that hump. And without systems, you're not going to be able to sell your business or have somebody move in while you move out. So those 2 things are absolutely essential. And even if you're starting your business right now and you're not really focused on, well, maybe I want to sell it. I'll never sell my business. I love my business. Someday you're going to want to go to Kelowna for the summer. Sure. And without a system in place, you're not going to be able to do that. So Absolutely. Start now.
Even as a sole proprietor, just writing down the things that you do in, just a regular old book.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, as a sole proprietor, it's really, really difficult to sell your business when you're not incorporated, because you don't have that asset. But this becomes the asset that you sell.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did you systemize your business, Jo?
Incrementally.
It's about a 2-year 2-year process. When I help clients systemize their business, it's a 2-year process.
Yeah. So what we did was we focused on the job roles that were most essential for us to move out of, and we systemized those first. So those were the writing roles and the visual content roles. Our videographer, our graphic design, all of those people have been systemized. So we did those a couple of years ago. Then we moved towards my job being systemized. I'm the business manager, and so my job, while nobody can really move into it right now, eventually they'll be able to, because we do want to hire a general manager in the next year or so. And our next step is to systemize the sales process. The sales process has been the hardest to systemize because of what we're selling. And our target market has constantly shifted as social media has shifted. So it's been very difficult to systemize that. But and again, we're trying to bring in a general manager. We'd like to bring in a sales manager and shift Jo and I out of those so that we can pursue our passions, which are speaking in schools and public speaking. So.
Awesome. So Dean asked, how often do you come through Rocky Mountain House, and what's the best way to get a hold of you? So Dean, I'm going to post Jo's information after this broadcast in the comments section of the Facebook Live broadcast. And Jo and Jo actually come to Rocky to visit me often, which is great. Yep. And so Jo will be one of the guests, Jo Phillips and Jo Whitbread from Jo and Jo Social Media, are one of my guest experts for the Central Alberta Small Business Think Tank. Now, we had one, I believe, in October, Jo. Awesome day. Fantastic.
So fun.
And so where you get to come into what we call the think tank, sit in front of 8 different experts that I have gathered from all over Alberta. They come sit in my office in Rocky Mountain House, and you get to sign up to spend 2 hours with them brainstorming your ideas, and they provide solutions for you and connections with you. It is such a valuable day. So we are having another one this month on January 24th, and we are fully booked because there are only 4 spots available. So watch Dean for the Central Alberta Think Tank happening in April, because will be a quarterly event through RABC. So great question. But in the meantime, if you want to get a hold of Jo, then I will post her contact information after we end the broadcast. So, which is pretty close to right now. So the last hour, Jo, thank you so much. It has been amazing.
Yeah, I love talking about this stuff.
And so if there's one thing for 2018 that you would tell a small business owner to focus on, what would that one thing be?
Oh, I would go back to planning and systems. I always go back to that. Even if you don't feel like you're there, if you start now, it's a lot less work as your business grows. Yeah, and be fearless.
Be fearless. I love that, because entrepreneurship can be scary. Otherwise, it's funny. Entrepreneurship is scary, and you need support. And you shouldn't work in a silo. You should build a team, and that's why places like RABC exist, or Business Link, or Catapult Entrepreneurs. That there is an amazing group of resources for entrepreneurs in Alberta that are funded by the government, and you don't get that for employees. There's no employee support center. There's entrepreneur support centers. So take advantage of them while they're still here. You never know with government programs. They're here today, gone tomorrow. So while they're still here, take advantage of them, because people like in my position, we just want to help empower you and your business. So that's my shout out to everybody online. My crazy infomercial.
I'm going to add to that and just say that relying on people like you and Catapult and all of those places over your friends and family's advice will take you so much further. Like if you should be using your family and friends as champions and as a soft place to land. But if you want to be looking to grow as a business, then you should be talking to business people. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, Jo, thank you so much for your time today. I'm just thrilled to have spent time with you. And for everyone watching, we will be doing RABC/WOW podcast once a month. So our next featured presenter is, Jo, you know her pretty well. Her name is Sheena Johnson.
Oh.
She is from the Bra Lounge in Red Deer. And her and her sister are the current recipients of the 2017 Red Deer Chamber of Commerce Business of the Year Award. And she has an amazing story, amazing business to share, and you don't want to miss it. So I will share that date with you on the RABC page. You need to stay tuned to coming events. Also to coming events, if you want to mix and mingle and learn. Our next WOW networking event is January 31st. And I know Jo's a part of my Red Deer WOW group and came to WOW Day. So, and again, networking is key for developing those business relationships, for support. And, I wouldn't have met Jo without networking.
Yeah. So it's essential. Yeah.
It is an essential part of business. So if you haven't already got your ticket, then on the Facebook page, you'll see the poster, because we have a great presenter from Make Your Mark Business Academy, an international business academy. Her name is Cheryl Bishop, and she is teaching us the 5 vital steps to growth in sales and profit. So if I reverse engineer this like the oatmeal commercial, if you've got enough sales, if you've got enough money in your pocket, if you're driving the Lamborghini, everything's okay. You don't have to come. But if you're not driving the Lamborghini that you want yet, you might want to show up. So with that said, thanks for everybody for joining in, and I'm going to hit end broadcast. Joe, stay with me for a few minutes, and we'll have a fabulous Friday, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.